Howdy, how's it going? Welcome back, or howdy if you're new. Do you have a Nintendo Switch, or do you know someone who does? Well, one thing I bet I can tell you about those people that own the Nintendo Switch is they are very familiar with the joystick drift issues that plague almost all of these devices. Pretty much every set of Joy-Cons and every Switch I have ever had, after a while these things start to drift to the left or to the right, or they just simply stop working at all, or even if you drop them, they're very prone to the sticks themselves breaking. There's only two options to fix that. Well, maybe three if you're really wealthy and you just buy a whole new Switch. But if you have a Switch with detachable Joy-Cons, you can of course buy new Joy-Cons. The only issue with that is, one, they're expensive, and two, there's some bootlegs out there and they don't work as well as the originals. The other option is, of course, replacing them with some new joysticks, but it might be a little tricky for some, but I'm going to show you how easy it is to swap them yourself. And we're also going to talk more about these. Now, these are the new handheld DIY Hall Effect joysticks, and they are the TMR, which is Tunnel Magnetic Resistance Hall Effect. I know that's a mouthful, but it basically means they're higher sensitivity, they have lower power consumption, there's going to be no drift, and they also have zero dead zones. So these right here were sent over for review, but like I said, anything that's ever sent on my channel, that will not impact my review. If something's not good, you'll be the first to know about it. Let's dive right on in. I'm going to show you how to put these in, and then we'll talk about it and we'll calibrate them, and I'll give you my full opinion and all of the quirks and features at the end. And if you want to see more videos for other handhelds like the ROG Ally X or Ally or any other handheld I own, I do tons of mods. And if you're new here, thank you for checking this video out, and subscribe if you want, leave a comment if you like, and let's dive right on in. So these are on their website, and you can also get them on Amazon, and I'll leave links below. They're not affiliate links, but if you buy them, it does let them know that you bought them from my links. So there you go. Now let's open this up. Nice packaging, nice box. There is some paperwork inside. I'm guessing this is an owner's manual. So I've done them on tons of other devices like my Ally, Legion Go, tons of other devices, but I've actually never taken them apart on the Switch. So you'll do that together with me, and that'll be a better experience for you to be able to vibe with, because it might be your first time also. So we do have a nice big packet of info. It's basically just telling you to go in and calibrate them, which is pretty common whenever you change out joysticks. You definitely need to calibrate these afterwards. That's the same with any handheld device I've ever changed sticks out on. So it does come with tools, which is cool, because I had my X-Cool toolkit out expecting to need some tools, but they just saved you some money right there. So you don't even need to go buy a toolkit. Comes with actually a pretty high quality guitar pick or a pry tool, some nice plastic tweezers, little foam insert in here. So they did actually package this thing quite nicely, and that's pretty awesome, because packaging does go a long way when you're spending money on something. And speaking of price, these actually are on their website for about 20 bucks right now. You might be able to find them on Amazon for about the same, but I'll leave a picture up above so you can see what they are at the time of filming this. And we'll just we'll go ahead and stop the yip yapping. And also a big shout out to the channel members. Thank you guys so much for helping support the channel. Thank you to all the new people. You guys are the GOAT. Much love. Everything is so much appreciated that you do and help participate in growing this channel. And you help fund mods like these. If you want to see those, if you haven't seen them, please go check them out. Alright, so we're going to take these Joy-Cons apart, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. I've already done this off camera because I did struggle with a few issues with the ribbon cables, so I'm actually going to do it all again just so you can see in real time what to look out for, and hopefully this will help someone avoid messing up anything inside of their Switch. So the first thing you're going to want to do is, of course, take your Joy-Cons off. My Switch is dead, so it's going to just sit here and charge for a little bit. Move that out the way. Alright, so now you're going to take the joysticks apart. They're pretty easy to do, but here's the pro tip that I would recommend doing. The screwdrivers that this thing comes with, they're pretty good, but I ran into an issue where I felt like I was going to strip out one of the screws on the Ys. So what we're going to do is take a Y 1.0 bit, and we'll use that instead. And this is the X-Cool screwdriver. You don't need to use an electric screwdriver, but it might make it a little easier getting them out. I would just use caution as well if you're going to use an electric screwdriver, because you could over torque it or under torque it. So I'm going to take this out. Gonna set our screws aside. Now when you take apart this side right here, this is the left side, you'll want to get your guitar pick and pop up a corner, kind of put your finger in there if you can hold it, and it'll help it come apart a little easier if you could put pressure on one corner. Now you're going to come over to this side and do the same thing. Use that guitar pick to kind of wedge in there if you can. It's a little tricky, but it'll eventually go. There you go. Just kind of work it around all the corners. Just be careful because there are ribbon cables in here like I was saying earlier. So once that part is out, you'll take and move it to the side like so. And now what I highly recommend doing is taking your battery out. And now you'll take that battery like that. And you've got 4 screws inside of here. Now the screws inside of here threw me off because they're not all the same size. So you've got 2 small screws and 2 long screws. So what I recommend doing is having this little pad right here, and as they come out, just set them on the pad or push them through so you know exactly how they come off. And you've got 1 screw right here hiding at the bottom. Now you'll be able to take this and gently move it out of the way, just like that. And then your joystick is right here. It's pretty simple on this side, not a lot of stuff in the way, so you don't really have to worry too much. So what you do want to do is go ahead and take this clip right there. You could get this screw out like that. You've got another screw on the other side. Now you should move this out of the way. It does make it a lot easier so you don't damage that ribbon cable, because it is kind of in the way. Once you move that out of the way, you can take that out like that. That feeds through. Now be careful, there's a little black plastic flap right there. I'm not going to take this thing out all the way again just because I've already done it, but the little ribbon cable will come out and then you're going to put it back together in the reverse order. So just kind of loosely set that in there. Also, this spring comes out really easily, so just set that aside. Make sure that's pushed in, make sure that's set. Now you take your screw. Is very tedious, and you do have to have very steady hands, and my hands have been shaking today, and it's a very very nerve-wracking experience when your hands are shaking. You don't want to break anything. So now that that is back in, the joystick's back in, just pretend I already swapped them. Here's the old ones right here, the stock ones, by the way. And like I said, I've already swapped them out. I'm literally just redoing this because I messed up so bad on the first run that I felt like I needed to go through this again and show you how to do it, because I don't want anybody to slip up and break a cable. Okay, you should use your tweezers for this. You can take and kind of feed it in there a little bit easier than just using your hands, but it is tricky. It does take a little finesse. It's not as bad, but that little thing wants to close up on you. There you go. So now it's in there and I can close that flap. Whew, it's tricky, it's doable, but it's not fun. So now we'll close this side back up here. Just be very careful with these ribbon cables. Oh, there went the spring. Alright, so the spring is very tricky if you're not careful. Put that back in there like that. You can slowly work this back in there. Make sure it sits on that little ledge inside of there. There you go. Now you take your screws and put them all back. There we go. Now the battery is in. Like I said, it's very, very tedious. Move your cable out of the way and you'll be able to put this back together just like that. Alright, so that side's done. Now on to the hard side. If you thought that side was hard, wait till you see this side. This side's incredibly more difficult. So be careful, you got ribbon cables inside of here. You can just set these down like so. And you've got some screws inside of here, and then of course the battery connector. What I would recommend doing though is on this one, just if you're wanting to be a little risky, don't worry about unplugging the battery. It's not a huge deal. But what the main thing you want to do is move this little antenna out of the way, because plugging that antenna back in is a lot trickier than you would think. So now we're gonna take these screws out. We'll set them over here. You got another third screw right there. And this is the part that you should really just be very cautious with. When you're moving this out of the way, you want to give it a little bit of a rotation, because that cable right there will get stuck. So you want to give it just a little bit of a rotation right there. That way you also don't have to unplug it, because plugging that back up is a pain, and I don't recommend unplugging it. So this one isn't as hard if you don't make the mistakes that I made. Oh, and also make sure that this cable is seated in there properly, unlike how it was just then. Oh, and if you actually have to unplug this cable, it is a pain to get back in because of the curvature. There we go. Got it back in. So that's plugged in. And now you can do that flipper right there and then undo those two screws, and the joystick mechanism will come out. And then you can put it back together in the reverse order. Remember, do that little turn. There you go. Feeding all that back in there is just, it's tricky, but it's definitely doable. Go ahead and move your battery back into place. Take your screws. These magnetic screwdrivers are pretty handy. Don't have a magnetic screwdriver. Trying to feed this in here is even worse. Alright. And don't feel bad if it takes you a long time to do these. Most people that have shown tutorials on anything have done it more than once. It always sometimes sets people up for disappointment when they're not warned ahead of time. Hey, I've done this a million times. Don't feel bad if it takes you an hour. Because I'm not gonna lie, the first time I did this off camera, it took me like 3 times longer to do this, and I felt extremely frustrated and I felt extremely stupid because I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong trying to get some of these ribbon cables back in there. So don't feel bad if you struggle with this, because I, as what I would call a semi-professional, I'm not a noob by any means, but I struggled. So I know that if you've never taken any electronics apart before, you will struggle with this. But be patient and you can do it. Alright, so now both of those are on there, and these joysticks already feel a lot better than stock. They feel better. I don't really know how to explain it. It's not a big difference like I would have thought, but it's definitely a difference enough. So now let's turn it on and calibrate the sticks and give it a shot. Alright, so when you're ready to calibrate your controllers, you're going to go into the settings menu right here. Then you're going to scroll down and you're going to look for controllers and sensors. And then you're going to go down here to calibrate control sticks. And you're going to hit OK. Now you want to tilt the stick that you want to calibrate. You're going to do this for each side. So we're going to tilt that stick. And now you'll see where it says calibrate. You hit the X. Calibrate. You're going to hold this to the right and release. Make sure it lines up. this all the way down, center it up, release. Hold this all the way to the left, release, all the way up, center it, and release. And now you're going to rotate the stick in a large circle. Make sure it goes all the way to the outer side. Not missing any part of that outer ring. It's very important that you're pushing outwards as you do that to make sure it actually touches the entire outer ring. You hit OK, and now you're going to go back and you're going to do the right side. These do feel way better than they did before. I can actually tell a pretty big difference from stock. They do feel a lot more precise and they don't have any slop in them like my old sticks did. My old sticks had a ton of slop, and when I would come around here on the track, I just had a hard time actually controlling it because it would just want to go all the way from one way to the other. It was just not that accurate. So it made playing Mario Kart pretty hard, to be honest. And now I'm going around here like it's a brand new device, but better. So I like it. Very good job. Very good job, Handheld DIY. They actually nailed these sticks. Very impressed. Alright, so overall, these sticks are a huge win, just like I had a huge win on Mario Kart for the first time in a really long time. These sticks definitely made a difference, so if you are looking to make your experience on your Nintendo Switch better, and you want more accurate sticks, you want sticks that are going to last longer, then you should check out this kit from Handheld DIY, and I'll leave the kit below so you can check out the price and see if it's worth it for you. But I do believe they're around 20 bucks or so at the time of filming this on their website. Like I said, maybe a little different on Amazon, so feel free to check those links. Alright guys, well I know this is a little bit of a different video than I normally do. I normally do the other type of handheld content, but the Switch is still at the end of the day a handheld, and I wanted to give you guys an inside look on how you can change those and give you my perspective of if it's worth it or not. And I definitely think it's worth it. It's better than stock, and it's better than buying some bootleg Joycon kit. Alright guys, well if you liked the video, leave a like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff, and until the next one, I hope you guys have a good afternoon, good evening, or good night.